everyone, welcome to Definite Hearing Today. Today's video, what to do if you're deaf and you're pulled over by a police while driving, is an exciting topic, and it was shared with me by my friend Jonelle, a fellow YouTube fan. Thank you so much, Jonelle, for sharing this topic with me, and I hope you and everyone else watching this video appreciate this video. Alright, so I actually have been pulled over by a police before, and so I hope you stick around to the end of this video, because if you do, I will share that story. But for now, I'm going to share with you what to do if you get pulled over by a police and you are hard of hearing or little d deaf. Okay, so imagine you're driving along, the moment has come where you see the police lights in the rear view mirror. Now, anytime you see police lights, you gotta pull over and get out of the way, and you just cross your fingers that they're not pulling you over. But in the instance that they are, you want to pull over to a safe place. You want to make sure that you are out of the way of traffic, that the officer has a way to get to your car safely. And so if you see the lights and you're pulling over and you want to acknowledge that they're following you, you can hit your hazard lights. And those hazard lights will signal to the police officer, I know you're there. I'm just driving to get to a safer place. Also make sure that this place is well lit, ideally under some kind of highway or road light. Once you park, I highly recommend put your car in park, make sure you're safe. Safety is the #1 concern. And then you can turn on your kind of like ceiling light on your car so that the car is well lit. You need to keep in mind that when a police is pulling someone over, they are on guard and they want to know that they are safe. Because at this point they don't know that you can't hear yet, helping them feel like they are safe will hopefully help this scenario go as well as possible. Next, if you choose to use a communication card, this is the time to get it out. Now, I have read from various sources and recommendations that this communication card is on your car visor. So you simply open your visor and swing it to the side of your car so that it's facing the officer. I highly recommend having one on your passenger side as well. I'm going to include a link in the description below about how you can get one of these cards. These cards say, hello police officer, I am deaf or hard of hearing. Because of this, you can get your communication preferences put here. You can get, I use ASL to communicate, I need to read lips to communicate, or I prefer written communication to communicate. It is critical that if you require some kind of communication card, once you've turned on your car light, if you need it and it's dark, I highly recommend putting your hands on the steering wheel at the 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock positions. Police like to see your hand. When you're rummaging around, it makes them concerned that you could be reaching for something that could hurt them. So it's just important to be mindful of that and make sure that they feel safe as well. Okay, so based on your visor card that states that you are deaf or hard of hearing, if you choose to use one, you need to be prepared to give the officer whatever they need to help you, other than ASL. Because according to the American Disabilities Act in Section 2, you are entitled to a qualified interpreter. Okay, so it's important to know that. If you state that you prefer lip reading or you prefer to write things down, you need to have a notepad and a pen ready, or you need to make sure that it's well lit enough that you can read and understand the officer. It is your job to make sure that you can understand the officer. It is your job to advocate for yourself if ASL is not available. So really just kind of consider yourself, consider your needs, and also consider that you're going to be stressed out, you're going to be feeling scared, and it may be better just to always have a pen and a paper in your car so that if you've realized that lip reading is not working, due to lighting issues, due to the fact that you're scared and inability to focus, you can rely on those tools. It's good to have these cards and have them ready in your car. So at that point, the police has probably gotten up to your car. Hopefully he has read the little notice and he understands that you are hard of hearing. At this time, he will likely ask you for 3 things, and he does have the right to ask you for these things, and you do need to show proof of these things. I just want to say, when you get pulled over, it's important to know your rights, and it's just important to be prepared so that you can help the officer with his job and you can move on. Like, getting pulled over, in my opinion, is one of the worst feelings. He will likely request from you your driver's license, proof of ability to drive, proof of car insurance, and proof of vehicle registration. I have these handy in my glove box, so when he asks for those, I just pull all two out. I pull my driver's license out of my wallet, and then I would present them to the officer. At this time, he would likely go back to his car and take care of things. Okay, so at that point, the officer would likely take this info back to his car, run a few things, and then come back. At that point, you proceed as necessary. So another huge part of getting pulled over by a police is knowing your rights. Rights vary by state in the United States, and so this is an important opportunity if you're watching this video. After this video, Google, what should I do if I'm pulled over in, fill in your state. So I did that for myself. What should I do if I'm pulled over in Utah? And it brought up a lot of great stuff. As I mentioned earlier, I am required by law to prove my identification and my vehicle documents when a police officer requests them. Now, in addition to that, it's important to know my rights because officers may start asking questions. And it is possible that the more you talk, the more you can incriminate yourself, or the more likely it is that you're found guilty for whatever they cite you for. In the state of Utah, you do not have to answer specific questions about your itinerary, such as where you're going or what you're currently doing. In the state of Utah, I can deny a search to my vehicle. This is due to the Fourth Amendment of it's against unnecessary and unreasonable searches and seizures. So unless there's a warrant for my arrest and a judge has approved a search and seizure of me and my property, they cannot search my vehicle. And so I can politely deny that. Another thing is I do not have to sit in the officer's car. If for some reason they show proof that they do have access to search my car and I get out of the car, I do not need to sit in the vehicle until I'm formally placed under arrest. So know that. So in addition to the Fourth Amendment, it's important to know the Fifth Amendment. In the Fifth Amendment, you have the right to remain silent. And one of the last rights that you should be aware of is the Sixth Amendment. You are entitled to an attorney. If you can't hire a lawyer, the court will assign one to you. Getting pulled over can be such a stressful situation, but by knowing your rights and being prepared, this situation can go from super stressful, horrible, the worst case scenarios that we've seen, to being a typical road stop citation and up on your way. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end of this video. I want to share my experience of getting pulled over. So I was on the highway just driving along, and all of a sudden I saw the lights in my rear view mirror. And I was like, I really hope those are for me. So I pulled over and I started like freaking out. The officer got out behind me and I knew I was getting pulled over. Quite frankly, yeah, I just was like, oh, that feeling like, oh, I'm stuck. But I didn't even really know how fast I was going, so whatever. The officer walks up and he says, ma'am, did you know how fast you were going? And I said, I honestly don't. And he said, ma'am, you were going 80 in a construction 65. And I was like, oh. Whoops, the normal speed limit in that area is 80. So, whoops. And so anyway, darn, he asked me for my driver's license, my vehicle registration, and proof of insurance. And so this was the time that I actually could only provide my driver's license. And so the end result of this interaction was I got a ticket for speeding in a construction zone, not having proof of insurance or a registered car. It was really bad. Like, this ticket was like over $500 and probably like one of the worst. Like, I haven't heard of a worse ticket. If you had a worse ticket, please let me know in the comments below. But I was in college, I was going home to see my family, and obviously a $500 ticket was like, oh, huge. So, because I had driven this road many times before and I felt like the construction zone wasn't obvious and I was going down a hill, I felt like I had a worthy case. So I followed his instructions to follow the information that he had given me with the ticket. And it talks about how you can contact the court when you can figure out when your court date is, you can plead not guilty, and the process. So I read this information and I acted on it. So I planned to go to court and I couldn't make it that day for some class exam. So I called and was asking if they could reschedule. And so they did. Then they called me and said the officer couldn't make the rescheduled date, so they asked if I could reschedule. So then this third date was actually the day before I was supposed to get married. And the tricky thing with traffic violations is you have to travel to the precinct where it is. And that wasn't necessarily close to my home. So anyway, I called them again and was like, hey, I'm curious, can we reschedule on this again? Because I'm literally getting married the day before. My mom doesn't want me in court the day before my wedding. And they said, actually, the officer won't be here that day. If he doesn't show up, you're just automatically not guilty. And so that happened. I didn't have to pay that ticket. It didn't go on my record. And I found that really interesting. I don't know how that worked out, but it did. So my first recommendation is just don't speed. And when you get pulled over, know your rights and be prepared. I hope this information helps you. I hope that if and when you get pulled over, this information helps you feel prepared and in control. And if you get pulled over, just know you're not the only one that's been pulled over. So I hope that you have a great day. I hope that this video helps you. And please don't hesitate to share this with other people this may benefit. Thanks so much for watching. Stay strong, stay amazing, and have a great day. Bye.